Thank you so much for downloading the episode. On the show today, producer Dub's new truck is here, and that leads us to our discussion on what our dream car is and how our dad was a race car driver and all of the childhood memories that go with that. This, plus a discussion about the smell of man and how it affects women, armpit hair, and our ugly and awkward moments of the week. All of this for you today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
Give anybody booze and they're going to be relaxed.
Paula?
They like to watch their own wiener.
Uncensored as always, it's time for the ugly truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 370.
We are Sisters Who Podcast.
Yes, we are. I'm Jamie with my sister Paula today. The show is dropping on Mother's Day. We expect that you won't be listening until Monday, but happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Hopefully you're enjoying your few hours of joy. You're probably not as hardcore as we are. We do love our children and we do love being mothers, but still, no Walmart jewelry. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Daryl got his truck finally.
Finally.
It is at the house. Now, for me, I'm kind of like you. When something's new, I kind of poke it with a stick for a while before I'll actually truly enjoy something.
Yeah, I kind of just look at things. I stick my head in the window and I'm like, ooh, like the nice smell.
Oh, I love the new car smell. Is one of the best smells in the world. And the inside's all leather, so it smells even better. It took me, let's see, Monday, what's today? It took me 4 days before I actually got in it.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, do you want to go for a ride in my truck? I'm like, oh, it's late. I don't know, maybe tomorrow. And so he's like, come on. I'm like, fine. So we get in the car and we go for a quick ride. And I was like, wow, first of all, it's so high off the ground because it's got these huge ass tires.
Oh, is it lifted automatically? Like, did it come lifted?
It comes a bit lifted, and there's no running boards yet. He's going to have to buy running boards because I literally had to use upper body strength to pull myself into the car.
Oh, no.
It's really high. And so he goes, yeah, I'm going to get running boards. I'm like, I can do it. So first I tried to get in without the little handle, and he's like, you're going to need the handle. I'm like, you know what? You're right. This is really high.
Did he have to push your butt up?
No, but if I had done it without the handle, I would have had to get on my knees and crawl onto the floorboard and then up into the seat. I felt like a little child.
Yeah, embarrassing.
Yes, so I'm using the thing, and it's kind of like getting in and out of it's like trying to get off a horse because it's you can't get your footing because it's so high.
Well, your car is really low because see, when I went to go get in your car, I felt like I fell in.
Yes, well, it is. It's somewhat of a sporty car, so yes, it's low to the ground. So drove around in it. It's got the big iPad, and it's got all the fancy speakers. Everything is climate controlled. So I get in, and because it was warm, the air conditioning came on. It was blowing in my eyes, and I said, "Wow, this is really strong." He goes, "I'm sorry, hold on." And he's like, all these gadgets and buttons and switches and everything, and I said, I'm so glad that you love this vehicle because in a million years I'll never drive it. It's just too techie. It's so techie.
Watch, you're gonna have to drive it.
Paula, I just don't want to. I mean, Malia and I were talking about it. I said, have you been in Dad's truck yet? She goes, yeah, he maybe get in. And we drove around a little bit. And I said, I never want to drive it. She's like, I do not want to ever have to drive that thing. It just feels like an 18-wheeler. It's so big.
It's like a spaceship.
It's huge, too. It's just so big. But I mean,
Where does he park it? In the driveway?
He has to.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't fit in the garage. So, yeah, he parks in the driveway.
I'm surprised he only posted 2 pictures of it. I thought I would have gotten a full 360, 25 picture camera, you know.
It's possible. It's coming. I mean, he traveled. He immediately got home and then the next day had to go to LA. So it's possible this weekend there will be a photo shoot of some kind. I dropped him off at the dealership. He was there, doing whatever they were doing. And he's like, hey, you're my first phone call on my new car. I'm like, oh, that's so great. He goes, I'm going to go to my brother's. So he stopped at his brother's and they sat in it for an hour. So
Well, I mean, he was literally 10 minutes from his brother's
exactly,
house. So.
exactly. So our little nieces got in the back seat and we're running around. So there's already already little handprints everywhere on the windows.
God.
And I said, "You're going to get this thing detailed, man." He's like, "Yeah, I know. We just let him play back there, but it is so fun." And I was telling Malia in the car, I said, everybody should know what it feels like to get the car of their dreams. It's not always possible, but if you can do it, it's such a great feeling to finally get something you've been wanting your whole life. Everybody's got their dream car. Everybody.
I don't even know what my dream car would be, to be honest.
Really? Maybe you just never thought about it, but I mean, for me, it was a Mustang. And mostly because I had one at one point and then it was taken away from me so rudely that I didn't get another opportunity to have one. So now I got one and I love it. I love it. But now that I've had it and it's been like 6 years, 7 years or something like that, I could let it go and get something else. But it was so great to have. And every once in a while I get out of the car and I'll walk, and when I'm coming back to it, I look at it, I'm like, I love my car so much. Mackenzie, my daughter, she wants a Porsche Carrera, midnight blue.
Oh, wow.
So maybe she'll get it one day. You never know.
You know what? Actually, I've always wanted a little Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah.
Isn't that silly?
No, it's not silly. That's what's so great about everybody's dream car is it doesn't mean, oh, I want a Lamborghini.
And when I say Volkswagen Bug, I don't mean the current ones. I mean like an old one, like a 60, like a maybe even 50, but like a 62 or something like that.
Yeah, those cute
and
little
original, ones. Not like the modified ones.
Fully restored, OG with the German leather. They smell so good inside.
And it's like,
stick shift,
a 5-speed, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where the reverse is in first gear instead of the end. And
yes,
yeah, it's such.
And
a
they
great
make
car.
that little like the Jetsons when they were driving around. It's like it's like a sound when they drive down the street. I love that sound.
You literally need a rubber band to replace the belts.
Did Dad ever tell you about that contest he won?
No, what?
So he was in this contest and they all had a bunch of Volkswagens, Bugs, and the contest was to see who could dismantle the engine and drag it across the finish line the fastest.
Oh my God.
Dad won. He dismantled the engine and dragged it across the finish line in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Get out of town.
Now, why did that surprise you?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
But isn't
surprise
that
me at all.
funny?
That is funny. What a weird contest.
I think he was like 16 years old or something when he did it.
I wish our dad hadn't been such a horrible person as an adult, because there are a lot of...
Or a criminal as a young person.
Right. Because there's a lot of stories that I never really got any clarity on. Like, for example, he started going to the racetrack at 14, and he he never had a father because his father was killed at the border.
Right.
So it would be really interesting to know what man was he looking up to when he was 14, learning how to be a mechanic at the racetrack in San Jose.
Could have been TV. Maybe he was just maybe television. There was like racing or radio. Maybe.
No, I don't think so. I think he didn't just show up. I mean, he obviously had to know someone to be there because he was in the pits. He was learning how to build motors, and he also learned how to drive. I mean, he was driving race cars, mini stocks, which back then was Volkswagen for him. Mm-hmm. When he was 16, he was winning races by 16. He was rookie of the year by 18.
I want to say he took auto shop, but I'm not positive.
I don't know, but my point is it would be really interesting to know what person got him to the racetrack and made him want to do that, because he was so good at it. And the only reason that he didn't continue is he almost died.
Well, he broke his back.
Yeah. And punctured.
But I mean, I think the reason he was so good at it is because I don't think he feared dying, to be honest.
He didn't. He had lived through hell. So he felt like he was on borrowed time.
When you're not afraid to die,
yeah, it changes a lot of
those
perspective.
are the people that just will do just about anything.
Pretty much. Maybe that's why he had so many lovers.
Although I think you'll put your dick in just about anything.
Doesn't matter.
I think though that breaking his back, because he flipped 3 times.
Yes.
And then when our friend Dave Bradway Jr. died,
that was a big deal.
I think that really snapped him back into place a little bit, because he was also approaching like 37 or 38.
Yeah, he was getting he was close to closing in on 40.
And so that's when he started to realize, like, you know what? I could die, and that might be important to me. So
I agree. I do believe that when Dave Bradway Jr. died, I think that was the end of it for him. That's when he realized, it's like, I don't really want to die this way. You know, I mean, I never feared death, but I don't want to die like this.
But he didn't want to stop racing, so he hired, various weirdos to race for him.
Yeah,
or to drive for him.
I can't remember the name of it now. The man that raced for us initially, he was a really good driver. Not Kevin Urton.
Oh, okay.
The younger one, not Jack Hottenchild. No,
it wasn't Rick Haw. Was
Rick
it?
Haw.
Wasn't he the one that pooped in the hotel?
He was so hammered that he took a dump in the hotel.
And Dad fired him.
Because I think he was on drugs.
I don't blame him. I mean, Dad, he was like the most, like...
Oh, that stuff was private.
I don't want to say decent, but I mean, like, he just had a sense of decency to him. Well, like, you just don't do that stuff.
He would put up with a lot of crap, but not that kind of crap. But that driver he was really reckless because he was so young, and he was just a really reckless driver. And I think that was the end of it for him. But I think he actually ultimately ended up doing quite well. Rick did in other forms. But yeah, that was a really interesting time period in our lives. When our dad was an owner of a race car.
It.
I did too. I really did. It's like I told Stephanie, our sister, it's the time, there was a very small time period in our childhood where our dad was super distracted with racing.
That he didn't really beat us that often.
He didn't. We were not abused. We were,
because he was never home.
Well, not only that, but he was proud of us. He thought we were all beautiful, and we were hanging around, and it was just it was like Camelot of a time period where everything was going just fine,
Maybe he was on drugs. I don't know.
Our mother says that he was not into that at all because he did not like having control. And so,
that would make perfect sense.
She's like,
you know what? He wasn't even a big drinker.
He was not. He was not a big drinker. And we talk about him like he's dead. That's so funny to me. He's not dead for all we know.
He's dead to us, but
socially speaking, yes. But that time period when we were really into racing, it was a fun time. We met a lot of really fun people. It was exciting. Yeah.
I remember I was so in love with Kevin Urton. I probably was, like 6 years old.
You were a small child.
I used to take a little towel and wipe the sweat off his forehead.
Oh my God, that's right. You're so funny.
And I would just like hang around him. He didn't care. He was so funny.
He was so nice. He was such a gentle person. So gentle.
Gosh, looking back, they always seem so old to me. But I mean, God, they must have been in their like early 20s.
Early 20s and 30s. And remember his girlfriend, Linda?
No.
Oh.
I probably was just like, fuck you, bitch. I don't know who you are.
So nice. I think they got married, but I don't remember.
Probably. I wonder if he's on Facebook.
Oh, stop it.
Urton.
Can we not stalk someone right now? We'll do it later. So anyway, I'm actually curious more about Rick Haw. So yes, I was telling Stephanie, I said, I have a collection of memories that are actually quite good about her dad. She's like, I have nothing. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. It's fair.
It is.
But yeah,
I'll give her that.
Those times. But it was because he wasn't really paying any attention to us, but we were just there existing. So
yeah, I remember we used to wear those stupid hats with the big wings on them.
God. That's right.
We weren't the only ones.
Everybody
At least I don't think we were.
Well, you know what? That was it was the 80s, man. Nobody cared about style where we were from. We were in Orangeville, for God's sake.
We should try and go to the races sometime. I think that'd be fun.
I'm not going to Roseville.
Why?
Well, because last time we went there, Stephanie and I went and we got kicked out.
For what?
We were trying to purchase beer, and Stephanie was 21. I was 3. And we were buying beer because we thought it'd be fun to go and watch, because we actually knew somebody who was racing, and so we thought it'd be fun to go and just see how it had been a decade since we had been. So, and we were all excited because we could actually buy beer at the racetrack. So you can buy one, but you can buy two. You can buy up to 2 per visit. And so we were each going to buy 2. And Stephanie had an ID, but it was expired.
Oh, God, that never works.
I know. And so of all the places in Dogpatch, California, at this racetrack in the middle of nowhere, some stupid kid's sister was doing it. It's like, I'm sorry, but we can't, you can't buy these. And I'm like, all right, fine, well, I'll buy 2. And they're like, no, you can't, because we know you're going to give her one. So I could only buy 1. I go, I could buy 1 and give it to her. Like, what the fuck? Who cares?
Right.
And then really, we're talking, it's freaking Coors Light. It's like 8 ounces. Who cares? And so they immediately called security, and some big, giant behemoth of a human comes over, and we start giving him so much lip. It's unbelievable. I go, you wouldn't even consider putting your hands on me right now? Don't even do it. He was like 6'3", and he must have weighed like 500 pounds. And he was probably our age.
Oh my God.
We're standing there and we're just like giving him a bunch of crap. We weren't intoxicated. We were just furious. We're like, our money's not green here, apparently, huh? And it's like, because we're here in, fancy Roseville Speedway. And we were just being our usual horrible selves. And finally, he gets on the CB radio and he goes, Uncle Hank, I have a problem. And we lost it. We started laughing so hard. We were like, gotta call Uncle Hank, huh? And so eventually Uncle Hank shows up and he's like a grandpa. And like they own the track. And so he comes out, he goes, what seems to be the problem? And I said, okay, here's the problem. Her ID's expired. I was just going to buy 2 instead, and she wasn't going to buy any because that's the law, and we're cool with it. But they wouldn't sell it to us because they said, you're just going to give it to her. Whether I did or not is not the point. I have the right to buy 2 beers. That's the whole point. And so eventually they gave us our money back, apologized, and sent us home. They didn't let us stay. They said, you can't stay.
Stupid.
I know. And we're like, fuck you! We were so mad. And I said, this is exactly why I hate Orangevale. This is exactly why I hate these small towns here. Because it isn't about fair, ever. So we left, and I've never been back. I will not give them my $6.
Well, don't you have to pay to get into the races too?
Yes.
Did they give you that money back too?
They did.
Good.
We don't want your money. And I'm like, no problem.
It's only fun to go if you actually know who you're watching.
Yeah. And, now everybody we knew, their kids are racing now.
Oh my God. Are you joking me?
And those guys are now, grandpas. So, yeah, a lot of time has passed.
True.
Anyway.
I don't even know how we got on that tangent.
We were talking about Daryl's truck.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So the truck is fabulous and he's in heaven and I'm happy for him. Okay. The second thing I wanted to tell you about is there's 2 things coming out on Netflix. One is Jailbirds, which is a 6-part documentary series based in Sacramento County Jail Women's Unit.
Really?
Yes. And because it just came out today, obviously I haven't seen it. But apparently it was supposed to start, the whole premise of this 6-part documentary was to showcase the programs that are here for women to rehab and come out with some skills.
Okay.
And it didn't end up that way, apparently. It's different. And I don't know what that means, but apparently it's a bit harrowing. There's a lot of drama and gives an insight on the women's county facilities here in Sacramento, California. So, and it's all this, is it a good thing that we're highlighting this jail? Are we going to find, is it Orange is the New Black? I mean, what are we looking at? And so I'm really intrigued. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't shy away from those shows where they show men in lockup and the how it is in jail. Enjoy is not the right word, but it is an insight on the systems that we have in place in the United States. So it'll be interesting. We'll see what it's all about. Second, speaking of Calistoga, the movie, I think it's called Wine Trip, is coming out. And it's with Amy Poehler and her crew, Paula Pell, and why can't I think of the name of her BFF?
Is it Tina Fey?
No. Yes,
Rudolph?
Maya Rudolph and Tina Fey are both in it. Yes.
Awesome.
So that comes out today as well, and I cannot wait to see it. Trip, our friend, posted, he's like, please tell me you guys are all in on this. I'm like, I am all in on this. I cannot wait to watch it.
I've never even heard of it.
Well, it's Netflix, but apparently it's coming out on Netflix and in theaters today. So if you don't have Netflix, you can go to the movies to see it.
I swear to effing goodness. I mean, we literally just canceled Netflix 3 months ago.
I know. Well, you can always come over and watch it.
I know.
I know. Anyway, so those are the things I wanted to tell you about before we jumped into man sweat.
God. Well, it is getting close to summertime.
Oh my God. Okay. So you had posted something like a month or so ago about how they were saying that there's a chemical in man sweat that basically it triggers a hormone in a woman's body that can push her towards ovulation quicker.
Okay.
And it also relaxes women to a point. It's basically, it's the pheromone that makes men attractive to women. And they're saying that there's some real validity to it and that they're trying to do experiments to see what that compound is so that they can, of course, bottle it and give it to people so that it might help with the fertility process. That's the scientific part of it.
So they're saying that it can help women ovulate earlier.
Yes.
Which I think
by
is
20%.
weird. I just don't see how that's helpful because, I mean, your cycle is 30 days and you ovulate basically in the middle of it.
Well, I think it's, but if you're struggling with infertility, you're probably not on some kind of regular cycle. And so,
or maybe you don't ovulate at all.
Right,
yeah, I guess
right.
I can see that.
So anyway, this is the part I wanted to tell you about. Researchers applied extracts of underarm secretions from male volunteers to the upper lips of 18 women.
Oh, God.
None of the women knew that male sweat had been applied to their lips.
Well, I would imagine because, I mean, who would willingly do that?
They claim it was odorless. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think that's baloney.
Okay.
The women then rated their moods over 6 hours of that's like torture. Why would you do that to somebody? I would never do that to someone on purpose. It's so mean.
Leave sweat on their lip for 6 hours.
They consistently reported feeling less tension and more relaxed. But here's the other thing about it. Each of the women received 3 applications of the underarm extract during the 6-hour evaluation period, followed by 3 doses of alcohol. So, how can you say that they
That doesn't prove anything.
Nothing. And this is a legit, I did extensive research on this because I said this has got to be like a real experiment. Like I don't want it to be some joke. But this was a dissertation from the University of Pennsylvania, coordinated with something in the UK. This is a legit thing. And this is back from 2008. So they've been doing this for a long time. This is something they've been working on for quite some time. And so I'm like, well, you give anybody booze and they're going to be relaxed. Anyone.
I don't even know how they can consider that like a non-tainted study because they introduced another element into it.
Right. It says that the first 6 hours that they were only exposed to the pheromones, that their blood levels went up, their reproductive hormones went up, and they had a mini surge, which usually happens during ovulation. And so they're saying that there's some legitimacy to the pheromones that men secrete in their armpits. And I'm like, okay, giving zero fucks about this because all I can see in my brain is some poor woman having her face smashed into some hairy armpit. I know that's not what happened, but that certainly feels like that's what's going on.
It's just never going to happen. I don't care.
Can you imagine the men that volunteered for this? Like, men
don't give a shit about that kind of stuff.
You know it ain't Brad Pitt.
They're just like, what, you want to, take a squeeze of my armpits? Go ahead.
I just can't. When I was dating my son's father, and he had a friend who had that really horrible.
You told me about
horrible body odor problem where like he had to go to like a doctor.
Well, was it a body odor or it's just a sweat problem?
He smelled like he was dead. He lived alone because he couldn't have roommates. He was going to the doctor constantly. He was covering his body in deodorant because he used to change his shirt like 4 times a day. Because not only did
bad for that guy.
Not only did he sweat a lot, but the odor that came out of him was like cadaver smell. It was so bad. I did feel sorry for him.
I wonder if he had like swamp foot, but like swamp body.
I don't know, but it's a real disorder, and it's comical if you don't have it. But I mean, if you have it, how do you get laid? How do you have a family? I mean, he couldn't even have roommates. It was so terrible.
I think that would make you suicidal.
I was just going to say that. But I'm hoping that, well, first of all, I'm hoping they didn't use his secretions for this thing. Second,
Well, I think someone would know.
oh my God, they'd be like, what am I doing? What is this? Get it off! Like,
What's that smell?
it's like, it was so bad. But I remember going to his house once because I don't even remember why we were there. I don't even remember. But
I thought you said you guys were like picking him up or something.
Yeah, we were. And I was
I thought
like,
you said though he always took his own car.
he would, but for some reason he had a truck or something. I don't really remember the reasons surrounding it, but somehow we drew the short stick and we had to go get him. And so I just remember sitting in his house going, this whole house smells like there's a dead body in it. Like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I hope that he worked it out because I know he went to the doctor quite a bit.
Do you remember his name?
No, trust me, I want to.
I just want to see if he has a Facebook. And,
I know.
Like if he's married or anything like that.
I mean, every time you get up, your bed smells. Just every clothes.
There's a constant wet spot in your bed.
Oh, God. There's no amount of towels and Downy that can fix it. I just don't even know. I mean, he always looked like he had new clothes on because those things probably just disintegrated. I mean, you can't wash it out. It's a horrible curse. It really is. I
would feel so bad. I couldn't imagine anything worse. The only person that might be able to relate would be Stephanie.
What? Why? Oh.
You know why.
Yeah, I do. But when she was going through puberty,
the ages 11 to 14 weren't kind to her.
Her lower extremities could kill a man.
And she always insisted on taking her shoes off in the car.
Why? Why would she do
thought
that?
we weren't gonna know.
The chemical warfare. Of course we're gonna know. She could have killed a village with that. They should have bottled that up. Jesus, I never have experienced that before in my life.
I mean, everybody's lower extremities go through a change during that time. But
do.
Stephanie's, my God,
she was hit. She was cursed.
She was hit with the smelly stick.
Really bad. Yes, there was when I worked at a vision insurance company before I was in radio or media. And there was a gentleman he was a supervisor there. I think his name was Dave, but I can't remember his full name. He had the same problem. But
really?
Yes.
The sweating problem or the lower
odor.
extremities?
No, the odor,
okay.
The body odor issue. And everyone, I mean, it was so, I mean, and he just kind of said, no, this is just who I am. And I do the best I can, but it is who I am. He was not going to the doctor and trying to find every elixir imaginable to correct this hormone issue. I assume that's what it is. So he just smelled. He just smelled. And he just lived his life. And it's like halitosis on steroids is the smell that comes off of you.
So gross.
And he had an afro. He wasn't black.
Oh.
So he had this little. He kept it kind of full, and he drove a black like RX, like a not Honda, like an IROC, like a
a Trans Am,
like a Trans Am. Yeah, he had a black Trans Am. He was very, very nice, but I mean, he wasn't my type. But he was just smelly. And he was just like, yeah, I smell. And I'm like, wow. Okay.
Is that your like line? You'd be like, hey, what's going on? Oh, by the way, I smell.
One time we were at the holiday party back in the day when companies had those. And it was like formal. So everybody had to wear like tuxes and stuff. And I don't know if he actually liked me, but he definitely asked me to dance a lot. And so I kept telling him no because I didn't want to do it. Finally, he's like, come on. I was like, all right. And he like tried to hold me close.
What did he smell like?
I just felt like I was like that cat in Pepe Le Pew in those movies, in the cartoon. It's like, oh, what did he? Shit. I'm like, rotten food and socks. It was such a bad, I can't, it's very harsh too. So it like stabs you in the nostrils. It's not like this soft wafting. It's like this harsh attack on the nasal. It's so harsh.
I wonder if it was his diet or something.
You know, remember that Sex in the City where the turtle had Chinese herbs and it made his breath smell?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that where you go, woo, like don't even, like what is coming off of you? But, and you know me, and of course I'm extraordinarily sensitive to odors.
Oh God, we all are.
I know.
And unfortunately, I'm very vocal about it. I'll walk up to something and I'm like, oh my God, what's that smell?
When I walk in somewhere,
and I'll pinch my nose.
You do what our mom does, and she just grabs her nose and walks around with this discerning look on her face. That should be our family crest. It's like,
right.
That's what you should look like.
A pinched nose.
Oh my God. Yes. And so of course I'm doubling down on this is bad. This is really, really bad, you know, but he's just like, so, you know, are you enjoying the party? And I'm like, and then someone took a picture of us dancing. They're like, turn to us and say cheese. And then they post all the photos.
Oh my God. Is that the one where your nipple was showing?
Yes.
I remember that one.
The nip. Everybody saw it but me. I'm like, why is everybody liking this photo so much? And it's because my nip was hanging out. I had no idea. Oh my Lord.
So you're with the smelly guy.
Yes.
Your nipple was hanging out. Oh my God.
Yes. My first public awkward moment. Oh my God.
I remember seeing that picture at your house or your apartment or whatever.
I took it. I snatched it immediately. I was like, oh
so
my God.
Funny.
Yes,
oh
it
God,
was funny.
that was hilarious.
It was hilarious. Like,
and I remember that guy, he did kind of have like curly hair, but it was like super greasy, and I just remember thinking, just let your soul glow.
So glow. Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. It was crazy.
Oh
but
my
you know
God.
What? And here's what sucks.
A night.
Oh, it was quite a night. And what sucks is that he was actually one of the nicest people I've ever met. I mean, he was really a nice, kind human being.
Sure.
But from what I understand, he did get married and have children.
Well, maybe he married someone like our ex-stepmother who had no sense of smell.
You know what?
What a weird thing to have.
I know.
I mean, maybe it's not, because I mean, there's people who like are deaf and blind. So, I mean,
why wouldn't you have no sense?
But that's like, you know, not being able to have a sense of touch or something. I don't know. I mean,
it's just weird, but
some senses, or not be able to taste. I think there are people who can't taste.
No taste buds?
Aren't there?
I don't know. I know I was listening to a show and somebody he didn't realize he didn't have a sense of smell until he was much older, because people were like, God damn, you stink. Because he was a 12-year-old and he's like, I do? And they're like, yes, go shower. So now because he can't smell anything, he bathes all the time. And he's like in his 40s now, but he's like, yeah. And they're like, well, how does that affect, like, you know, everything? And he's like, well, I just don't fall in love with food like others do, because, you know, when you are eating, especially something really nice and fancy, you fall in love with the smell and then the taste is usually how it goes. And he's like, for me, it's like junk food, you know, anything that's like an indulgence. For him, food is just fuel, because he doesn't take any joy in it the way someone who has a sense of smell does. And so, of course, immediately like, well, what about when you eat pussy? Like, does that do anything for you?
Probably better.
Well, I would think. Well,
but you know, guys are gross.
I was gonna say men like the taste.
I don't want to. I just don't want to talk about it.
Well, they do anyway.
They're all about all of it.
Yeah, they're like, I want all of it. Yeah, it's true. They are.
That's why they like to, you know, put their fingers in there while they're doing it, and you know, because they want to feel it and taste it and touch it and smell it. I'm sure if they could put their ear in there and listen to it while they're doing it, they would.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that, but you're right.
They just, you know, and watch it at the same time. I don't know. They're just They're all. Why do you think porn has those cameras that get way in there?
What is the point of that? I don't get it.
Because they want to see like everything.
It's just science now. It's not even sex anymore. Now it's like, oh, this is quite interesting. It's not even sexual. At some point, it's just not even sexual anymore. Now you're just looking at a pile of flesh. It doesn't look like anything.
For guys, they're all about it.
It's so strange. I don't think all of them, but yes, it is strange that they can't get in enough. It's like, I don't understand. It's like balls deep isn't good enough for you?
Hey, guys like to watch their own selves when they're doing it.
Oh, it's so true. It is so true.
Know?
Hey, look how big I look.
They like to watch their own wiener,
They love those things. They really love them.
It's just so weird.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, my eyes are closed and I'm like, okay, what are we doing in the file today?
Who are you tonight?
Right.
Oh my God. Okay, so one more thing.
What?
You posted it, and then I finally saw it yesterday. The gentleman who came to his friend's door and was attacked by a snake. I laughed so fucking hard, Paula. I laughed so hard.
It was scary though, right?
Well,
how do you miss a snake being wrapped around? I mean, I wouldn't have seen it.
First of all, there are snakes in Oklahoma. I didn't know this.
Oh, there's snakes. Yes, every time we went to go visit Victor's parents, they told us to watch out for copperheads, water moccasins.
Well, water moccasins I know exist, but I've never heard of snakes being an issue in Oklahoma in the residential areas.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
I have never been to Oklahoma, however, so I wouldn't know. The video, and maybe we'll post it because it's really fucking funny. He walks up to his friend. It's obviously his friend's house. He knocks on the door, and out of nowhere, because they have a security camera, out of nowhere, the snake comes draping down and attacks this guy and bites him above the eye.
And the guy's like, ah!
His face. He's like, ah. So the door opens and he goes running and he's like, I got bit. He's like, and you can hear the guy going, what? He goes, a snake. He goes, a snake. He goes, yes, I have to go to the hospital. And I started laughing of all
Wouldn't that scare the shit out of you,
Paula? I mean, my God, I'm terrified of a small spider, let alone a snake coming out and biting me in the face.
I would run the other direction screaming like a crazy person.
And that snake was pissed. That thing was wide open mad. I mean, his mouth... Man, it was scary.
They said he was wrapped around the front porch light, which I don't know why. I mean, I don't know if it was cooler there or...
I don't know, man.
What it was doing there, but he did not like the fact that he opened the screen door
and knocked,
and then all of a sudden he just lunged out and bit the guy in the eye.
Oh my God.
The only saving grace I would think is that if that had happened to me, I would just hope that I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And that maybe it was like a bee sting or something, and I ran inside and I wouldn't have seen what it was.
Well, this guy knew he got bit by a snake. He saw it because it was dangling.
I know. Oh, God.
Polly, you would have probably been unconscious.
I would have passed out. I would have been like,
You were like,
Mr. Spears.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You have to drag you into the car.
It's true.
Okay, so let's do our ugly and awkward moments of the week.
I ran to the grocery store the other night actually, because I had to pick up a few things. Like, we needed like cucumbers and wet cat food, and I forgot what, like bread or something.
Sure.
Just a few things. And so Honey, our cat, she's been eating this Sheba cat food, like wet cat food. And Sheba is a pretty common brand, I would think. So I'm in the cat food aisle, and I am scanning all the wet cat foods just quickly, and I'm just like, okay, Sheba, and I'm not seeing it. And so I'm just like, where is this stupid cat food? And so then I start really like scanning, and I'm like, okay, Friskies, Blue Buffalo, blah, blah. And I'm like looking at all these, and I'm not seeing it. So I'm like, okay, this is stupid. I really need to concentrate.
Yeah.
So I'm like sitting there. So I had been there like 5 minutes trying to find this damn cat food.
Oh, geez.
And so then I'm already starting to think of like alternative alternative options. So I'm like, well, I guess I could get her this or whatever. So, I'm like totally paying attention to this. And all of a sudden I hear, excuse me. And I was like, and I screamed.
Oh my God. Well, who was it?
It was just a man trying to get behind me.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what?
But I was so startled because I was like in the zone of this cat
Looking
food.
for cat food.
And,
Oh my God,
and
that's
then
so
he's
funny.
like, I'm sorry.
Oh
and I'm like,
my
no, it's
God.
okay.
That is
I said,
so
I'm sorry.
funny.
I said, I'm sorry. You're fine. It's me. So
God.
I was so embarrassed that I stayed in the cat food aisle for like another 10 minutes because the cat food aisle is like really close to the registers.
Oh, so you wanted to
and
wait.
so I wanted to wait. But as soon as he turned the corner, I just heard like talking. Then all of a sudden I heard,
Oh, of course.
I heard people laughing and I'm like, oh my God. And so when I got home, I asked them, I'm like, sometimes when I get started, I'm like, I'm like, is it loud? And they're like, it's so loud when you do it. And I'm like,
So funny.
No. Oh no.
That's funny. Okay, so mine was we went and with Daryl's dad and his wife. We went up to Mendocino County, and there's a iconic restaurant there called the Little River Inn, and it's right across the street. You can see the ocean. It's beautiful. It's been there for a really long time. And so we went there for dinner the first night we were there. Because it's really a legendary place, it is old school. So there's like white linens. It's, but it's not so fancy that you couldn't show up in, casual clothes. But it's one of those, I don't know, one of those harkens back to the old days when people dressed up for dinner and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a really cute place. It's a lot smaller than I expected, but I've always wanted to go there. So we were going there for dinner. And so we're sitting down and there are 7 of us. So there's 3 couples and then another gentleman who came as well. And so we're all sitting there and we're like, oh, this is so nice. And we ordered a little bit of everything so we could taste everything. And we ordered some wine and we were just having a great time. So I'm in the middle of this discussion. And you know how we are. We're very animated with our hand gestures.
Yes.
So I'm talking and I'm like, so da-da-da. And right when I did that, I knocked over an entire glass of red wine all over the white linens, everywhere, in front of everyone, in front of a full dining room and a full table. And I was like, oh my God. And Daryl, because he was so startled, he almost knocked his over too.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, everything's white linen, everything. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, I'm so sorry, everyone. And Gary, Daryl's dad, he's like, it's fine, really. It's really okay. It's no big deal. And I was like, stop trying to minimize this. This is so embarrassing.
I want to take full responsibility for
I really want to
just
take accountability for my actions, for my awkwardness. I'm so sorry. I wasn't making a scene, but I was like, oh my God. So picked everything up. And then he casually hands me a new white napkin. He goes, just put it over the stain. No one will ever know. I was like, thank you.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, of course. And then, of course, from that point on, I was only obsessed with the fact that I had spilled a whole glass of red wine all over myself. And luckily I was wearing black, but still.
At least it wasn't
so
like
embarrassing.
a bottle or something.
Paula, this is like the 3rd time I've spilled a glass of red wine on things. In
Can
public.
you not hold your alcohol?
No, it was a full glass. I hadn't even started drinking yet. That was the point. I was like, my God. It was so embarrassing. But, everybody kind of moved on because we were the children of the group. It was just expected.
Party foul.
Totally. But they're like, oh, this is what happens when you take kids to dinner.
Oh, well, what can you do?
I don't know. Just tie my hands down and just let me sit there and feed me mush so I can't hurt anyone or myself.
Telling you, we need high chairs and sippy cups.
For real. Anyway.
That'd be funny.
I know. So those are both very funny, awkward moments this week.
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
So, well, I think we are all finished. Any other announcements or anything we should know about?
No, just happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there and all those mothers at heart, whether you have a child or not.
Maybe you're listening while you're cleaning up, so we appreciate that.
Or you're in a Corbel Brute mimosa phase. Enjoy those mimosas, ladies. Enjoy your coffee. Enjoy those handmade cards that your little ones get you, because at some point you're going to transition to, do we have to take mom to brunch now?
I know.
That's when you don't, I mean, unless you love it, by all means, but I'm not looking forward to that day.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about Sunday now. They had these grandiose plans, but I'm looking at the bank account and I'm thinking those plans may fall through, so.
You may be getting a cup of dirt with a little flour in it.
Possibly. So.
I don't know. You know what? I know we complain a lot and we do a lot of criticizing, which is our legit truth, but I would never give back my children. Never. They cause me so much problem, but I mean, honestly, I love them more than anything in the world. And I know everybody does. Everybody loves their children.
Of course. Do you think it would be rude if I just took the kids and me somewhere and left Victor at home?
No, it's Mother's Day. You can do whatever the hell you want. That's the thing. It's like, no, it's my day. Shocking, I know.
All right. Well, again, happy Mother's Day to all mothers. Hope you have a good day. I think we're getting ready to come up on Memorial Day, so you might want to do some shopping at Amazon. Go to uglytruth.com, click on the Amazon button. And then if you want to go over to lipandclip.com and get yourself some summertime makeup, you can do that too. Don't forget your skincare needs and your bug needs, because the mosquitoes are out and biting. And so lipandclip.com has some good bug sprays, bug wipes, bug lotion, bug stuff. We will see you on Wednesday. Have a fabulous rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.